What's up? All right, let's go.
Steward.
Yes.
SD Stiles.
The third.
The third. In the flesh. Honor him. It's been a long time coming for this.
Man, I'm talking about rescheduling.
Yeah.
And
And we known each other for a while, but
this,
this,
yes.
but like this, yes, this
Yeah.
sit down. This has been a little minute, but we're here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Good. I'm just glad to have you.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. So I do this to kind of remove the facade and let people into the human, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been on stage for a while, for a minute, as an artist, as a preacher, as a teacher, as all these different things, but you know very well what you're going to get into about how, people put these standards, on people, and people put, expectations, and they kind of make up this image, right, because they see the teacher. And so if you're my teacher, you automatically XYZ, or you're my preacher, you're my, pastor, you're my whatever.
Yeah.
And we disregard the human.
Right.
And there, if I'm honest, there are people that are acknowledging humanity, and there are people that still aren't, But that's what's behind these interviews, right? Is it's focused towards artists, right? But and musicians, but we have to acknowledge and address the human. So let's just start from the top. So talk to me about like growing up. What was that like for you?
Oh man, growing up was from my lens, a normal childhood. Growing up in a conservative, apostolic Pentecostal home. I mean, and what you grow up around, you deem as normal.
Yeah,
and it's not true to say that my childhood was abnormal. It's just, you because of different cultures of different houses, that's normal to you. And you were reared up. I was reared up in the church. I was brought up in the church. It was normal to see my dad on the pulpit. It was normal to see. It was normal for me to be sitting in the front row. It was normal to have people watching me, watching every move that I made, even as a 4-year-old. So,
you born in St. Louis? Right?
I was born in St. Louis, yes.
Okay.
But my father started a church. Well, he took over a church in Carbondale, Illinois.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when I was 4, we moved over to Carbondale, Illinois. And then he became the pastor. He was there for a good amount of years, and I think in 5th grade. So I would say this is about another almost 7 years. 6-7 years later, we came back to St. Louis to. You can can't you like dim the sound?
It
Dim the
depends, I think,
surrounding
especially
area?
especially with these mics, it's gonna dim it out.
It's gonna what?
It's gonna dim it out.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
give it up.
Let
Let it turn off first.
Okay.
I'll edit this part. I'm gonna pick up it. So you're from St. Louis.
Yep.
And then, can you go out today?
Why don't you just turn it off? Like off. Oh.
Just like I said, whenever you're ready.
Go on, talk about delayed reaction.
Listen.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
so
So
you're from St. Louis.
yeah, I'm from
Okay.
St. Louis. Now, when I was talking about my father's perspective, he took over a church in Carbondale, Illinois. I believe he took it over from my uncle.
Okay.
Yeah, so my
Okay.
uncle was there first, and then my father took over that church.
Gotcha.
And I was there for I think 6 or 7 years, and during that time, a lot of things happened in regards to church, how church was ran. I was able to see at a young age be it good or not, whether we agree with it or not. I was able to see the front and back end of church, and
It's two different things.
yeah, two
Yeah.
different things. The front and back end of church, and but I was also able to see things of the church that I really enjoyed, that I identified with, and it allowed me to grow and be this person that I am today. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what was the opposite in like your school life and social life and stuff like that? What was that like in those years?
Now, Carbondale, I was okay.
Okay.
Now, when I got back to St. Louis, that's a whole nother ballgame.
That's when the roasting started.
Bro, like, you have no idea the psychological, I'm going to say it, the psychological trauma
Jesus wept.
from leaving Carbondale and coming to St. Louis, man. Like when I was in Carbondale going to elementary schools, like, I was one of the cool kids, you know? Because back then, like the pastor's kids, like, because church was taken, I mean, back then, all church was taken more seriously than it is today.
And so this for you is like roughly early 90s, mid 90s?
This is the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is the 90s. Yeah, so we're talking about when I started school, it was 95.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, when we started school, we were in 95, and then 96 really is when I started. 96 is really when I started school, because
Okay.
I started in 1996, and just going through school and matriculating through different grades, and then I got up to 5th grade. You know, I was, you know, one of the cool kids, you know, because, you know, usually like all the pastor kids knew each other, and usually all the pastor kids were usually popular because everybody went to church at that time, and so since everybody went to church, everybody knew their parents, and everybody knew their parents, everybody knew them.
Right.
So it was just like a natural thing. And so, you know, I was cool. I was okay, you know, and it was a nice little country town. You rode your bike everywhere you went, you know.
Man, this is the last time Mugs rode bikes, bro.
Man.
I miss it.
And I like we rode our bikes. When I tell you, like, I rode my bike so far and up and down that city, it's like, because, you know, it's not like neighborhoods ain't like what they used to be anymore.
Right.
But like we used to have whole bike gangs. Like,
Oh yeah.
we used to have whole bike, like,
Absolutely.
like these 10 group of bike kids, and like these, like, it was great, man.
And it can be whatever, you know.
Whoever, whatever. You can turn your Swift into a Harley Davidson.
Oh, it's game time.
Put the
Especially
car
if you
in
had
the spokes and like.
If you had the one person that had the ramps and all that.
Yeah.
Bring that, yes,
Oh
sir.
my God.
Yes, sir.
Parks were territories.
Oh yeah. Look.
That we had healthy childhoods, but like that was back when, you know, 42 ounces was 42 cents.
Look.
But when, like, growing up, like I said, it was a good childhood. My father, although he was very heavily into the church and the church work, because that he was fortunate to be full-time ministry for a large majority of the time until the latter end where he did take a job. But yeah, it was very, very much so in the church, and our activities, we did sports. It was just a beautiful childhood, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I even went to Disney World, you know. So it was a good childhood. So, but because it was such a good childhood, like, I have no for real bad memories of my church. It's a few, but it had nothing to do with me. But it was very jarring.
It was bad, not my fault.
It wasn't me, but it was like it's seared in my brain, and so it's just like, you know, it is what it is. Like, at that point.
So even though clearly a PK, right?
Yeah.
2-parent household,
Yeah.
in church a lot, but you still were able to kind of have a balanced.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. I mean, we've all heard the horror stories of how, you know, if you grew up in especially a Pentecostal apostolic, but in a PK situation, it's, you know, it's kind of
Your life is shut down, and as soon as they turn 18, they go buck wild.
Oh yeah, that's the narrative.
I don't think that was the narrative for me. May have been for my siblings.
Okay.
But for the most part, it wasn't as like bad as, you know, how I've seen it. But again, that goes with experiences of each childhood. Because just because we grew up in the same household, I will say this for any household, does not mean we all had the same childhood.
Right. Right.
So
That's a very
I know
real thing.
my sister has seen things, even as an older young person, that could have flew over my head, but hit her dead on. You know what I'm saying?
So where do you, are you the youngest? Are you in the middle?
I'm the youngest of three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm the youngest
Okay.
of three. So it's just like, where I had no idea it happened, they're stuck in that place.
Right.
And with that trauma, and that's reformatting the shape and mindset of life in the church.
Yeah. And it could be double because they might try to keep certain things from you, you know.
That happened too.
Yeah.
That definitely happened.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, and every time I come around certain situations or people, it's like you don't know who they really are or stuff like that. Like it's almost like they're not trying to say it, but they're saying it at the same time. So it's like, I don't want to vilify them, but watch your back type of stuff. Right.
It'd be like that.
But even though they never did that to me, because they did that to them, it's
yeah.
man.
Okay, so people know you as a singer, as a preacher, well, they should,
I guess.
But you'll find out later. So when did that start for you?
It started when I was a kid. It started young. Like I said, going back to 4 or 5, I guess. Like, my mom and dad made all 3 of us sing in front of the church a lot.
Bless it.
So trauma.
Yeah. Gone up there.
Bad. It was so bad. I remember one time, I think I did not want to sing, and like we was trying to sing a song, and my sister pushed me like sing, and I fell in front of her, and I got mad, and I was gonna fight my sister while we in the front trying to sing.
Yeah, you definitely got roasted.
we got in so much trouble. It was so funny. But my oldest sister was always like the rock, and my middle sister was like the middle child, like the neutral, intellectual one. Then me, I'm just the robust, outgoing, like life is Daisy's type of kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like your average oldest, middle, young child, right?
Yeah.
So like even with that, it started very young, and I noticed I could sing around 6.
Okay.
And that's when like they started having me do solos. I still didn't want to do solos.
Listen, yeah, it don't make
I
it
still didn't
better.
want to make it. Didn't make me feel any good. Like my granddad, when I got older, after we left Carbondale, came back to St. Louis. My granddad, a lot of times asked me to sing solos. I always sang His Eyes on the Sparrow. They always wanted me to sing like Brian Courtney Wilson. Brian Andrew Wilson, actually, because Brian Courtney Wilson, because they got that confused. It was Brian Andrew Wilson, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but they always wanted me to sound like Brian Andrew Wilson. That His Eyes on the Sparrow recording that's really famous. So, because I could hit that range, they wanted me to sing that all the time, and I noticed that it was really cool to sing when I got to 5th, 6th grade elementary school here in St. Louis.
Gotcha.
Because I was singing in my music class, and like they was like, "You have a really good voice," and said, "Can you do this song?" And I did it because I'm like, oh, I thought everybody could sing. I'm thinking, because here's the thing, I'm listening to music videos mimicking everything that they doing. My sisters are doing it. I'm doing it. I'm singing the gospel songs, and I'm singing all the runs, even as a little kid. And it's like in my head, I've listened to gospel music all my life, and it was a hymn called "Certainly Lord."
Okay.
And like, have you got good religion? Certainly, Lord. Have you got good religion? Certainly, Lord. Have you got good religion? Certainly, Lord. Certainly, 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 Lord.
I know you was having the time of your life with that.
Right. I was like, basically, like, especially a church kid, like because in schools, because you identify with something outside of the school so much, and then when something that you identify is actually like you light up, like that's a point where you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, but there was like this is part like, do you love everybody? Certainly, Lord. And then at that time I was still had a higher range, And then I could sing the female part. Like, do you love everybody? Certainly not. And then it's like, do you love everybody? I did I did that.
Yeah.
Whole room went quiet. Like, and then for that.
I'm sorry, I just got a visual. Okay,
right.
Okay.
Whole room went quiet. Like, so that happened. Like,
Right.
it was like, and at that point, I knew that my voice, my singing was really cool to people. I was still the dork at that time, but at that point, I was the cool kid again.
Yeah.
And so, like, I wanted to stay in that space. So I stayed in music because I wanted to be the cool kid again.
It'd be like that as much as, humility is something that is important and vital.
Everyone needs acknowledgement. Everyone wants acknowledgement. Everybody wants acceptance.
Yeah.
In any shape, form, or fashion. Even the Bible says it is not good for man to be alone. And people are talking about that as relational, like a relationship, like man and female. He's just talking about man cannot be an island. I could be single all my life, but I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to connect with,
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Yeah.
It'd be like that. So that turned into kind of a career path in a sense.
It turned into a career path. It turned into honors choir. It turned into other choirs. It turned into opportunities in the school. It turned into choir concerts. It turned into state, all state. All state turned into nationals. Nationals turned into traveling competitions. Traveling competitions turned into college prospects. And so I just kept that going. And I'm thinking like, okay, I still did football and all that stuff. My dad wanted to make sure I did like, the sports and all of that stuff. But I was a tight end.
My dad was a tight end.
Yeah, see, your dad was a good man.
Check that out.
I was shout out to Hazelwood West class of 09, and I was, a part of that football team, and I did taekwondo. I did a lot of sports.
I remember. So what was that like? Because although I wasn't as, I guess, diverse in that aspect as hindsight being 2020, as I think I probably should have been. I did basketball a little bit. I did basketball for a year. I did sports and
love to watch it. I hate to play it.
It's great. Let it bless you. I did more sports in junior high than I did high school.
Okay.
But I did a lot of band stuff, and I was also involved in church. So like. From your perspective, what was that like for you? Because I'm pretty sure at that time you were serving more, but you're still under you're still in the household that goes to church. So all the hopping around, practice, rehearsal, church, game, homework, all that. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was, and dare I say, it was almost seamless in certain ways. And I guess I didn't feel it. I'm sure my parents did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I didn't feel it as far as. I'm being just bummed on.
You feel like you could do it all.
I felt like at that point, like, let's go for it. Let's do it all. Like, and then like I'm active and I'm still moving. I'm thinking like, this is great, right? But like in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, like I was part of the not Webster. We're gonna get to college in a minute, but I was part of the Hazelwood West Gospel Choir.
Okay. We had a high school gospel choir.
High school, yeah. We had a high school gospel choir. We had we traveled. We went to actual whole churches. Like we was evangelizing. We had a whole ministry going out.
Get the people. Get the souls.
we was out here I promise you, I will send you the pictures, man. But we was out there and then we had football. And of course, and then outside of school, I was a part of a dojo, Taekwondo World Martial Arts Academy, 3 years regional champ. And then we did
knocking cats out. And that's still with the church kids,
right? Man, but here's the thing: you want to know why I did that? It's because I got beat up.
That's common.
I got beat up, and I got beat up for something crazy. And I'm a passive person, and I really try to be peaceful. And I was known as the church boy, and it seems like all the church boys are always known as being. All the church boys. You can say it. I feel like all the church boys are just no. I'm trying to figure out. I got triggered, and I feel like I'm going to help somebody. Like I grew up as the church boy, and the church boy was always is always just deemed as the gay boy. I never got that, and so I think that's why I dove so much in church, because I did receive a lot of bullying. That's why I said when I was in Carbondale, I was okay. When I got to St. Louis, it was a whole different ball game.
It's like even just it's a lot of the demographic. Like my niece, she went to a school that was in the predominantly Caucasian area, right? And it was one kind of situation, one kind of experience, right? Then she went to one that was more, more predominantly African American, and so even your experience with Carbondale, where
And they're mostly white.
right, it's not a lot of us over there.
Yeah.
And you flip around and come to STL, and it's not to say that one demographic is nicer or more polite than the other, but you got to learn how to swim in both.
Yeah, it's a lot of cultures, a lot of
Yeah,
different cultures.
yeah.
And it could be missed, and it could be misinterpreted.
And you'll get rejected, based off of how they feel about where you come from or who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Off jump, it's easy to judge the outside, but even as they, from my experience, like I'm not a PK or anything like that, but we were definitely in a religious house. We went to church all the time, served, and all of that. So I was a church kid, and I went to school with a lot of African Americans. But I was the dork, I was the lame, because that was part of it. Mm-hmm. A musician, B church kid, like.
And I feel like you could have been cool because you was a musician.
No,
like musicians was cool.
We can talk about that now, see, because people think I'm a liar, and you as a singer, you could probably tell, because you got both ends of it, because it's a little bit of drummer in you, right?
Yeah, I know. I had the drummer because I was I auditioned for the jazz band, high school jazz band.
So
we had all of this stuff going on, right? I even got a varsity letter for choir, right? But it's just like, when you do certain things, or when you are like in this certain stigma, mm-hmm. you do certain things to fight that. And it was such a battlefield of the mind. And mm-hmm. I guess and then back to me diving into church. I dove into church so much is because that's where I guess that's where I not belong, but that's where I felt belong.
Yeah.
And that's where I was the man. I wasn't excuse my term, I wasn't the fag that they was calling mm-hmm. me. I wasn't the the lame or whoever with all the names they called me other than the Son of God. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't feeling betrayed by those who I knew went to my churches.
Oh, and they flipped on you at
not even flipped on me, they left me alone.
Mm. Mm.
They didn't say nothing. They didn't do anything to add to it, mm-hmm. but they didn't say nothing to take it away.
Or just to
even like cover, protect, hey, this is our community.
Be ahead,
and so it's just like when I see them at church, I look at them as like, you don't love God. you ain't saved. He's like, you ain't saved. Right. And like, so it's just like, and so that added to my depression. Mm-hmm. Being bullied and everything, because around that time I tried to kill myself because
this is high school still?
This is still high school.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is still high school. I tried to kill myself because everybody's calling me this. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not that. I know that. I mean, I was like, I look at girls' butts all the time.
Hey, let it bless you. Listen.
I was like, I'm very invested in the female anatomy at this point, right? Because it's hormones, right?
That's the age. If you're gonna keep it a buck,
right.
That's the age.
I'm very invested, but it's just like the fact that I'm seeing this, but I'm hearing this. Faith cometh by hearing.
So let's dive into that, because I think I didn't expect the conversation to come here, but it's fine, But I think it's important to even address
human. This is human.
Exactly, humanity. But even like the young man and the necessity of safety, in all regards, physically, mentally, emotionally,
spiritually.
You got to have, even at that age, it's not going to look like what people think it should look like later. Even as a 15, 16, 17, like safety.
Yeah.
And identity, because we're not here to shame. We're not here we're not here to shame or anything like that. But knowing what you are knowing what you're not, and even if we don't know, who we are, what we are, knowing what we're not and being able to safely hold on to that, because although you're battling depression, which is a real thing, and you're being called all these things, and you keep coming back to, okay, the safety here, and I know when I'm not here. Yeah. So what?
It was battling mentally. I was battling mentally, emotionally, and because of that, because of the constant barragement, I'm not getting that at home. But again, I'm not at home more than I am out there at this point.
And that's important to address too, because I think it's important for parents as well. Because as I'm not a parent, I call myself a certified uncle, but I'm not a parent. But it's just like we may address that stuff later in life, or even in the moment, to our parents, and because we don't experience that at home, they may think, oh, well, we don't do it, so it can't be real, or you shouldn't feel that way because of what you're getting at home. Yeah. But especially as a teenager, as a male teenager, like we talked about that sense of belonging, which I think male and female, they need it. But it's a different experience, at that age, and it's a parent's gonna feel that hope, that hurt. You know what I'm saying? Your child is going through, and you're gonna do whatever you can as a parent to, try to stop it. That's what parents do.
Right.
But no teenager is really gonna, want that all the time. But you don't want to. It's almost like you expect your parent to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like you expect your parent to be proud of you for singing here, playing this, doing this, or to accept you for this, or to be cool with you being interested in X, Y, Z. But when you don't get that from your social group, it's a piece of you that's not, that's not there. So it still causes, like what you were saying, that kind of internal battle of identity, of safety, of all of that. Because it, although we appreciate it, because even if it was vice versa, if you were getting that from your friends, from your social groups, but you weren't getting that at home,
there would still be a bad effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dare I say it probably would have been worse.
But it's still and it's a both and.
Because here's the thing. Because if it was out there, because out there it was dealing with quantity, right? But if it was at home, it's all about the quality, because you got to consider the source. These are the people who birthed you. So they could just say it just a few times versus them saying a lot of times. I feel like that will affect me more than it did out there. But to the point of the wrestling of all right, this is what I've been told, this is what I grew up on, but this is what they're telling me. This is what I know, this is what they're telling me. This is what I know, this is what they're telling me. And so I had to battle with that. And that's why I said faith cometh by hearing, because the Bible says faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And so if you really dissect that text, I've been saying this a lot these past couple of days, because I've been using this example these past few days, but if you really dissect that text, it says faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So when he says faith cometh by hearing, that's a truth within itself. If you hear it enough, you believe it.
And a caveat, well, not necessarily a caveat, but the thing right there is that gets overlooked. Because I actually watched the Stevenson sermon kind of on just faith alone. It's like you said, faith coming by hearing. So it's not necessarily only what you hear in the church, or only what you hear at this environment. Faith comes by hearing. Yeah.
How many times have we created monsters by our repetitious statements? How many murderers have we created by our mouths? How many, and God can forgive and can save, but how many people have we perverted? And I'm using that term intentionally because I want you to see and feel the filthiness of our actions here. Because that's what it is.
It ties, because you have to hear it somehow.
You got to hear it.
And you look at, life and death, light in the power of the tongue.
Yeah, man. So they spoke, I heard death. And so because I heard death so much, I believe, like, they kept saying, you gay, you gay, you gay, you gay, you gay. At some point, I believed it.
You start to, You start to do some soul searching.
And I was like, am I? Like, hold on. Like, ain't no girl really talking to me at the school.
Got to do the math.
And, you know, I'm just coming home and I'm just watching cartoons and I'm just being a normal kid. I'm going to church, but, you know, I'm not the guy that people want. I'm the Urkel of the group, you know. And so I like think, dang, am I?
And that's you know, that could be it's a trick.
Right.
You know, that thing is a trick, and it's which is why, you know, I wanted you to stress the importance of being grounded somewhere.
Yeah.
And just learning to be comfortable with who you are, even because I don't think anybody should expect you to have that figured out at 15, 16, 17. You know,
I don't think people should have it figured out, but I don't think that people should be pushed or forced into it.
Absolutely, and it's just the point is like just even if you, like I said earlier, even if you're not, you know, able to fully articulate what you are, knowing what you're not, and not allowing the people to put stuff on you, you know, especially at that age, because although it's hard to fight the internal battle, you know, because you, especially somebody that's you studied martial arts, you know, you like you can't, as men, like we can't we're
we
leaders.
Can't be like, we can't just like,
Right, we're leaders, we're fixers, you know what I'm saying, we're all these things, but we're attackers too, and we can't go fight it, we can't go kill it, we can't, you know.
There's so many times like I'm going to go to jail. Like I want to fight them. Like,
but it's to the point where, like you said, you know, you almost took your own life.
Yeah.
To cut it up.
Because I felt like, okay, if I'm hearing this, I'm believing it, what's the point of me in my mind growing up in the church, because I know what the Bible says. I'm like, I ain't gonna make it. That's me. In my mind, I ain't gonna make it. So I'm like, let's just end it all now. Thanks be to God, I got saved out of it. But you know, I still dealt with and deal with suicidal thoughts sometimes. And now it's not necessarily grounded in my confusion of my sexuality, but now it's grounded in whether or not I'm meeting or I'm hitting the goals that I have, not only for myself, but what I believe God has for me. And if I feel as though like, oh man, you know, I'm not getting any older, you know, there are my peers. There are some of my peers that have done this and more and have gone far off. Some who have been married and looks happily married. Be in a relationship that seems pretty well solid. And
it's an eternal battle that gets real, and even like, so we're gonna get later into more of your, you know, development as an artist and some more,
but this is
behind
like,
that. But
this is human.
Oh, for sure,
we're human.
But I want to just like even at those adolescent years, you know what I'm saying, we already see, you know, the realities of, okay, on the outside this looks fine and grand because I'm touring, you know, I'm getting all these awards, I'm involved in all these different things.
Right.
But on the back end, on the human side,
I'm a wreck, man. It's a fight, man.
Yeah.
And it was a fight before I even accepted the call.
Yeah.
Right. This is all before this. Like I'm single, but this is all before my first sermon. This is all before. Honestly,
we're not going to preach, but if we were to look up Jeremiah 1:5, we already see that in play. But anyway,
right.
But anyway,
it's like it was going on. So like at some point, like, you know, I'm working through it, fighting through it, and that's all all it is. College, it gets better. You know, it gets a little better. It gets better after high school. You know, and in college, after that, it's like it's no longer like who's the top social dog. It's now like who is literally going to put in the work. And I was a person, even as an artist, I say this, is like there are some people that probably can outsing me. There are some people that can outplay me. There are some people that can do a lot of things that I probably could musically do rings around me. But one thing you'll never do is outwork me. That's one thing you can never do.
And I mean, college, we did it. Like college is step up to the plate time. You know, it's some people that
it's follow up and follow through, man.
Yeah, and it's different strokes for different folks. You know, I mean, you got people that, you know, come to school undeclared, or they may, you know, go to a
I declared. I declared.
There's people that go to junior colleges and, you know, get their gen eds out the way while they figure it out.
That was my first year. I did JUCO.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes you got to do
Yeah.
that, but if you go when people get serious and they're going to school,
Yeah.
especially at that 17 to 22 kind of time frame, you start to really figure out who you are, and you step up to that, because it's
Yeah.
like can't nobody really do this for you no more.
No,
your,
no, you
your
gotta do
parents
it for
ain't coming to the college to talk to the superintendent. You know what I'm saying?
They
Ain't
look at you
nobody-
crazy. I was like, well, one, why am I talking to you? He's an adult. She's an adult.
It's game time now. You know what I'm saying? I went to school for music too. It's like ain't nobody practice for me. Ain't nobody finna do this final for me. Ain't nobody finna,
Ain't
what I'm
nobody
saying?
ain't nobody finna do this candidacy for me.
And where your parents come in is you better not play with my money.
Don't
You know what I'm
come
saying?
home, or don't come home with less than a 3.0.
And if you got a scholarship, it's really more on you because it's like don't play with your money.
Don't play with it, like, because you got requirements that you got to meet.
Listen.
And so like even in college, there was another level of stressors,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
and now I'm dealing with stressors and a level of freedom
Yeah,
now.
which plays into that.
That plays into that as well. Stressors, level of freedoms. But here's the thing. At this time, I accepted the call into ministry. I am so sold out in the church. I'm invested in the church because, like I said, at church is where I was safe. At church is where I was the cool kid on the block. At church is where all of these great things started happening in my life. It was connected to or from church. Every good or great memory from that point was a church memory. And then that grew into my college career. I started, like I said, working, putting in the work, and I started connecting with people from all different walks of life, from different social and economic statuses, and they expanded the world to me in different world experiences. I'm grateful for my college career, even the schools that I picked, because they really expanded who I was, not only as an intellectual, but also as an artist, a thinker, and a person. And dare I say that challenge the quote unquote black male masculine structure, because some people enjoy going to, like, there's some men that just enjoy going to the bar, like, and hang out, and that's all well and good. That's them. I enjoy going to Palace Symphony Hall. Like,
and there's has to be a security with that.
right, and I enjoy that. We enjoy going to Jazz at the Bistro, and so you play Jazz at the Bistro. I still got to see a show for you, but we enjoy certain experiences that shape who we are and what we are, that made us who we are, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah. So when you went to school, did you go for performance?
Education.
So when did you say you accepted the call to ministry. Was that part of your ministerial call, or was there an interest that developed for education?
It was just an interest that developed for education.
Okay.
Well, it was a practical approach for education, because I wanted to do full-time music, but I understand that is a 1 in a million shot out the gate for some people. For some people, especially for singers. Unless you're doing vocal performance and you want to just do opera all day. I didn't want to do opera the whole time. I wanted to do something else. And so with that, it probably wasn't going to take off as quick. And plus, I'm still learning the business. So one thing that I feel that artists should know, especially if you're going to school for music, learn the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that I did not learn that until after college. So I was just like, I can sing. Somebody book me. Like, I don't know.
I mean, and we're definitely gonna talk about that too. The importance of that, because I don't know. For me, I was always a behind the scenes cat, and I didn't really know how to articulate it until my later years. But like, I wanted to play because I like playing. Right. But more than that, it's just like, no, I want to go to a rehearsal. Like, I just want to watch. I want to watch the concert. I want to watch the setup. What time y'all getting there? I want to see the songwriting process. I want to look up the behind the scenes. That was me when it came into that. But we're gonna get to that
Which
later.
shaped both of us, because here's the thing. Like, I knew call in college. I knew call times.
Oh yeah.
In college, I knew the sound checks. In college, I knew contractual obligations. And
Listen, glory, hallelujah.
And so in college, I learned all of these things. Setup day, break day, breakdown day, and so crew day, all of these things in terms of production, and we take those production moments and then we bring them into our space as an artist. One thing, Donald, there was a story that was told to me by a man by the name of Derek Huggins, out of Texas, very good industry person in the gospel spectrum, and he said that he went to this BMI members luncheon. It was a private luncheon. Kirk Franklin there, Vanessa Bell, like the who's who of top gospel, right? And Billboard flew in to give Donald Lawrence this award. Like he had like the top number ones, like in any genre, like a big accomplishment. So Billboard came down to give him this award. He said that his style of gospel or his style of music was like was not accepted. Matter of fact, he was laughed at and pushed away. So he took on this job as being Stephanie Mills' MD. And when he was at Stephanie Mills' MD, that's when he learned production. That's when he learned all of these things, like what I said, like turn on point and all those just these different things in terms of production that we enjoy Donald Lawrence for today and the Tri-City Singers and Donald Lawrence and Company. But he would have never known that had he got those experiences and then brought it back. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes these experiences that bring us back, I think that there needs to be a level, now we're shifting the conversation. I think there needs to be a new level of appreciation for professionalism. Because dare I say, professionalism is anointed.
Oh, yeah.
Professionalism is anointed.
Oh, yeah.
Being on time is anointed. Being orderly is anointed. And so I think that gets lost in the sauce, especially when it comes to church, because people can talk about being so religious, but you don't want to be so cavalier either in your spirit.
And I mean that plays into relationship, which is a different conversation, because religion will teach you to check the boxes, but relationship will teach you,
how to flow in those boxes.
How to flow, but since I'm connected to this person, I'm not finna act in any kind of way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's like into any relationship with your parents, with any church pastor relationship, any, romantic relationship, any of that, and we about to touch something else. But like it's because of what I'm connected to, hence the word relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not going to act any kind of way. Now I have to be mindful, of how I conduct myself because of who I'm connected to. So continue the conversation.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
You're in college years.
Yeah.
I need you to act right.
Okay.
We're not finna get to acting up.
You're not gonna act up. But college,
right.
In college,
you ended up joining a fraternity.
Yeah.
So what was that like? So what led there?
Oh, brother, I tell you, boy, I went through a lot, man. I thought I was cool when your brother went through something.
Listen,
so
that's a story.
I joined the greatest there was, greatest there is, greatest there ever will be. Phi Beta Sigma. Don't you turn off the mic. Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity
Give him
Incorporated.
an inch, you'll take a mile, Lord.
Boy, I tell you, you done gave me the doorway. No, but I joined a fraternity, a D9 organization called Phi Beta Sigma. And shout out to all the D9s. I know we have Mighty Joe Young here across the way.
Okay, I told you. Don't act up.
Shout out to the Alphas, though, real talk. But I think that is a conversation that needs to have, too, because it's so... I did a lot of stuff that church culture says don't do, or because we don't know, we're not going to go with it. And so, let's be honest, going to college was a stretch in the church.
Wow.
Some people may not think that, but in certain circles, in certain generations, college was...
Jesus.
To some people, college was sinful.
Because of that freedom aspect? Or?
Not because of the freedom aspect, because you may learn something that could be opposed to the gospel that you are receiving. You know, the world's knowledge. You know,
that's crazy, man.
Now my parents I'm going to college. My family was like,
facts.
get educated, all that stuff, right?
Facts.
But I have to recognize that I have to recognize that in certain church subcultures, advancement in matriculation in academia, it wasn't encouraged.
Wow.
You know, and that's not apostolic. That's just certain church spectrums in general.
Right. That was new information for me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I post about it.
I would say ask. I would say ask around. You'd be surprised.
It's just if the saints would just read the Bibles, but we don't have to discuss.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. I mean, we could talk about Moses. I mean, Moses got his worldly knowledge through the scholars of the Egyptian scrolls, and he used that at his order and his degree per se to become one of the greatest leaders of our Christian Bible.
One of the greatest quotes I learned in my college years, my undergrad years, was "Don't let your schooling interfere with your education." And that has stayed with me ever since.
Wow. I'm going to take that.
Listen, have it, man of God.
That.
Y'all can have it too.
Right. Don't let your schooling interfere with your education.
Listen.
I joined a fraternity. I was introduced to it by some friends and everything. And so I knew all the fraternity. I went to a lot of the events during my college years, and made friends and, connected with them. And then I did my research, and then what got me was there's a lot of church leaders that were a part of these fraternities and sororities. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Even modern day right now, there are a lot of great men and women of God that are a part of these organizations. So I'm like, okay, well, why not? And so I made the choice to be a Sigma, and I made the best choice. And I made I made the choice to be a part of Phi Beta Sigma. And after I did that, on the front end, and here's the thing: front end, back end. Front end got a lot of congratulations, cool, and all that stuff. On the back end, I did not know that people were making calls like to my pastor.
Jesus.
About what I was doing. Like, did you know that your minister is out there joining fraternities and being a part of occults? And I'm like, what? I'm like,
wow. Some of y'all churches is cults, but we don't have to talk about it.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I wasn't supposed to do this. Now I'm getting mad. Okay.
We're on live.
Right. God be praised.
He is to be praised.
Okay.
But yeah, I did not know that, and I want to say that there was some. It was some double standard when it came to that. Because here's the thing: me as a leader in the church, and I'm in a fraternity. If I wore like my letters to church and said I wore something to church, they would probably say something about it, right? Maybe say something slick. They ain't gonna tell me to take it off. But say I guess that came out of my thug. Like,
listen, out of your belly, man of God.
That was another spirit. Like, I don't know what.
I love the Lord, but what I will not be doing.
I just realized what I just did.
So weak.
I was like, yeah, it's like that. What you got? Like, say something.
Right. Bet you want to bang about it, bro.
What you ain't gonna do.
I'm so weak.
Oh my God. Anyway, but this is human. This is so human right now. Oh my gosh. But when I did it, I started getting so mad because here's the thing. I started to notice like there were other members of our church that were part of these organizations too, right? They just didn't display it as much. So we had like a Zeta in there. One of my young people now just crossed the SG row. So we had a Zeta in there, SG row. We had my bishop's wife is a Delta. Our assistant pastor recently passed away, rest his soul. He was a Q and a Mason. One of our deacons is a Mason. And then another thing is, our marriage ministry director, Q and Delta. And because they were married,
Right.
Take me offline.
We just a moment of silence.
We just had a moment of silence. So much was said.
Well, amen. Glory.
All right. But yeah. And then who else? And then we had one of our we had a couple of other members that were Deltas, and then one was like my niece's godfather, who was a member of the church. He's cute, and so now here's the thing: what's wrong with me joining the fraternity? And all these other folk, and it's like all these other folk. But here's the thing: when I do something, now it's a problem, right? And I've noticed that some of the ladies who join sororities, like, oh my God. I think one of my friends, after I crossed, she crossed AKA, and she wore her letters to wore her letters to the church, and it was like, oh, it's so wonderful, and she noticed, it's like, y'all get on him, but like y'all don't say nothing to me about it, and so that means, well, they were saying like, well, he's of a more prominent position, so he can't. And it was like, and then it made her feel something like, so what in the world am I? Am I just chopped liver?
Why,
so you feel you see it? Like, because she's a leader of she's a leader of the praise dance ministry.
So it's, wow. Okay.
Listen, so that's how we get into hierarchy here, right? Like wrong hierarchy.
Right.
But
imposed.
But here's the thing, that wasn't necessarily, and I will say this wasn't led by the pastor. That narrative was led by the people.
Right.
And so we had to, I had to really fight that and understand that the scriptures, I had to really understand when I crossed, the scriptures that they were using to justify joining these organizations had nothing to do with like anything. And this is where and this is why I got so heavily in the word, because we use so many things to justify certain things that has nothing to do with the scriptures that we're justifying it with.
Exegesis is so important.
Exegesis is so important. It's like we've been eisegeting half our lives, and now we have to recorrect everything. But we're looked as the heretic because you didn't take the time to study for yourself to show yourself approved. I'm turning my preacher voice off.
Listen, we would just open the Bible a little bit.
Just open the Bible one time. But I had to fight through those cultures. So now, like I said, I'm doing everything that culture told me not to do. But even in that, I'm still saved.
Yeah.
Right?
Identity is so important. And again, like, of course you say it out of frustration, but the reality, I mean, if you would just read your Bible, you would, and mind your business. Like, mind your business in the Bible, but also in the Bible is like each one work out its own. So if you have your own relationship.
Yeah.
You know
we can still hold each other accountable. We can still connect. But at some point, I got to leave you there and let you make your own choice, because I got to plant the seed, another water, and at the end of the day, God gives the increase.
And at the end of the day, Brett, when the time comes, I'm not going with you.
Listen, because oh my gosh,
I'm not coming with you.
And that's the point. That was another point I had to grow into, and that was like I had to stop people pleasing, man.
Look,
and I fall in, and it's easier said than done.
It is,
and I can fall into that trap so easily.
And it's easy as creatives. You know what I'm saying? It's easy.
We look for people to appreciate what we give out.
And it's hard. You know, one of the things I had to sit and do very recently is sit and draw that line of when do I get to become people pleasing, and I had to do that inside my area of expertise and outside, just in the social aspect.
You have to draw that delineation
because it's like somebody like us, where it's like on one aspect, on the spiritual aspect, it's like, okay, like. Dear mentor, dear friend, Apostle Chantel McNabb, great person. One of her quotes was,
"Shout out to Lake Charles."
Shout out to Lake Charles. One of her quotes, I love it to this day, was,
Charles.
If you live by their applause, you'll die by their silence. And that thing put me in the floor.
One thing, I was just in a room with Derek, once again, good call, Derek Huggins, but he was saying that about power thinking.
Yeah.
And he said that you can't be affected by the praise, nor can you be affected by the criticisms.
Yeah.
Again, consider the source.
You got to stay grounded.
You got to stay grounded, because if you reach too much for the praise, it'll be easy to tear you down. If you reach too much for the criticism, it'll be hard to pull you up.
And it's important to find that fine line, because I asked her, I was like, okay, like thinking on it right now, it's like, okay, I'm not really thirsty for attention, for praise, for a clap, you know, but it's like,
I'm not gonna lie, I am.
I mean, and that's real.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, if I'm being honest about it, the applause is kind of what I use to help me know that I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if I receive, you know, instruction, direction saying, you know, okay, do this and this is going to happen, or go this direction, and I go this way and if something good comes from it, that lets me know I went the right way.
Here's the reason why I said I'm not going to lie, I am, because it's not like I'm looking for the approval of people, but it's just like, let's just be real. Like, if you did all the stuff you did and nobody said anything,
yeah,
it would affect somebody.
And you know, and I had to sit with that for a second, because I was like, okay, but for real, like, when did this start and what kind of did it? And like I said, it was the applause. It was just like, okay, like, I've had other interests. You know, I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to do pharmacy. You know, all these other things.
Right.
But I've always been led back to music.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the good things that came with that, the paychecks, the applause, the, you know, whatever, it was just like, okay, this is how I know I'm on the right track. You know, and if that stops, let me check and make sure that I didn't trip, because things got quiet. And so I was like, okay, so what's the signifier? And she was like, your fruit is to let you know. And I was like, okay, cool. So that lets me know to, you know, stay grounded and focus on, okay, no matter if nobody said a word, did I do what I'm supposed to do? Because God can't lie. So did I do what I'm supposed to do? And let that be, you know, my baseline. But even outside of that, it's like, okay, you know, and with that, you know what I'm saying, as creatives, let me address that. Like, as creatives, it's like, okay, if I don't, you know, please people, I'm not gonna get paid. So
Or I won't get invited back.
You know, so it's like, okay. But she does, she has a boutique and she does clothes. And she was just like, one thing I just started telling people is just like, okay.
McNabb got a boutique?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, you know, dope stuff. And she was like, you know, sometimes people come in my store and, you know, oh, you're going to charge this for this, or you're going to do that. She, okay, well, you're just not my customer. What you're looking for is down the street. And I said, okay. Again, refocusing, you know, doing what you're supposed to do. And everybody ain't going to go. Everybody don't go with it. But it's you know, it's the assurance and being grounded in, it ties back to relationship too, but being grounded in, okay, no matter who claps, who shouts, who hollers, whatever, as long as I did what I'm supposed to do, we're going to be all right.
Right.
And I have to have a peace about being obedient. You know,
I think that's where we have to come into to play when we do certain things that are so far from not even the norm, but our comfort zone. I know that it's God because I have a peace about it. Am I still nervous? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Am I still scared? Absolutely. Am I overthinking, which I asked God to deliver me from?
Listen,
so much.
It's a stronghold.
Am I overthinking? And I'm like, I'm creating scenarios in my head, and 99.99999% of the time, it never happens anyway. But because it happens in my head, it happened. You know what I mean? Yeah, that happens. But the peace of God comes, and it allows me enough grace and enough strength to implement what God has graced me to do.
And the reality of the situation is that is going to tie back into faith.
Yeah.
Because if you're to receive the peace that surpasses all understanding, you have to have the faith to understand that it's not always going to make sense.
You're right. And have the faith to know that this is God talking here.
By hearing, it is all relationship, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it all ties together.
And hearing by the word of God.
Absolutely. You got to read the whole text.
And we're back.
You got to read the whole text, man of God. It goes together, you know, which ties back to having a safe place and the safety net and the hedge and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all important, no matter what age it comes.
Yeah.
You got to have it. So
Artists.
progressing forward. So
Yeah.
up to this point, so where does Steward Stiles, the artist, come in? Where does that?
Steward Stiles, the artist, came in still in college.
Okay.
The Steward Stiles, the artist, came in after his first professional event with a rock band called Todd Rundgren.
Wow. Okay.
The school asked me and a couple of people to sing background because he was doing a resurgence tour because he had a lot of faithful followers, and he's a rock singer called Todd Rundgren. And I started listening to him for a little bit, and I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. His stuff was kind of spiritual rock type of stuff.
Okay.
You know? Like as soon as you walk in, but as soon as you walk backstage, whoo, the place is reeking of weed. But
Bless the Lord. On my soul.
But it was a good experience because I learned stuff in industry from that experience, even in production and performance, that I brought as an artist. Like all of these experiences shaped me as an artist. I took the good and I noted, I took in the good and I recognized the bad. I'm say it again. I took in the good, but I recognized the bad. So when I recognize it, that means that it's in my head and I know that it could happen, so I can prepare for it. But I took in the good, meaning that I made it a part of my practice, right? And so when we were building upon that, that was a very good experience. And then I became young artist. There was a young artist program at St. Louis Symphony that I had the opportunity because my former professor at that time, because he was my choir teacher, but then he took on a job at St. Louis Symphony, and then there was a young artist program, and he opened it up to the students, and he let my other professor know, so he let me know. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, let me audition for it. So I auditioned for it, got it, and I was there 2 years in a row, Young Artist of the Year. And I started singing section lead for the In Unison chorus for the St. Louis Symphony.
Okay.
Good money, you know, for a college student. I mean, $500 a concert, that wasn't bad.
We honor the Lord for that.
It wasn't bad.
We bless him.
But all the while, but listen to this, all the while I'm gaining these experiences, doing all these major stages, people still don't know who I am. Right? People still ain't never heard of Steward Stiles. But I'm doing all this great work. But I guess the audience that I was trying to reach, they had nothing to do with me, right? And so we're gonna get to that in a minute. But I started doing that. Very good experiences. Sang with a lot of major celebrities. Once again, world experiences added on to that. And then when I was done with St. Louis Symphony, I started the Webster University Gospel Choir, which is still in existence today.
You started that gospel choir?
I started the gospel choir.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm in an official organization.
Wow.
And so that allowed me to learn paperwork, constitution writing, bylaws.
You got to know it all.
I think that phone died. Do we have to stop?
Keep going.
Yeah, but yeah. So it caused me to do constitution writing. It caused me to learn different things. And so after graduation, I went straight into the workforce as far as teaching and all of that stuff. And then the gospel artist. Now, mind you, I'm still singing I've been singing in different churches still throughout this whole time. I haven't been not singing at church. I haven't not been singing or preaching or doing anything for the work of the Lord. But I haven't done it on such a grand scale as I am now. I've sang in the youth choir for for some of the jurisdictions for the Church of God in Christ. Still did stuff for the Bible Way Church. Still did stuff for the PAW. Still did stuff for like a lot of different people, and sang solos or like became an artist in my own right. And then I decided to step out on faith and try to do something. And a guy, Darian Guy.
Oh,
We was, hooked up and everything and started singing in different places, and especially the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He introduced me to you.
He did.
Yep. So shout out to Darian Guy.
Dude.
And, we started this movement.
Okay.
And it wasn't intended. It wasn't intentional. And it just happened out of nowhere. you know, because around that time I was singing for like this group called Missouri Gospel Announcers Guild, and started singing in these different choirs and events and major stuff. So I was like trying to learn and all that stuff, and I made a lot of friends along the way, and I stumbled upon Darian, stumbled upon you, and stumbled upon Brittany, you know. Then we stumbled upon Calicia. Then we stumbled upon Cabrina. Then we stumbled upon Electra. Then we stumbled upon Brittany Gonzalez. You know, we stumbled upon. I wouldn't say stumbled upon. It was just like the connections. Like, hey, let me get you there. Here, let me get you this guy. It's just like all of these pieces started coming together in this like this God flowing way. So I'm like, God, is this you? And out of that moment, Steward Stiles and Divinity was born. Yeah. Now, while I'm building this up, now I've made in some ways a name, but this group and this movement took it to a whole nother place, right? Because I'm still learning and tripping and falling over industry stuff.
Oh, listen. It's a learning experience.
It is a learning experience, but like I was blessed to be a part and lead a great group of women and men who produced and exemplified all things in the front end, all things excellence in ministry, music, and industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you were part of it. We saw like when it was on, and nobody could touch us. Like no.
And I mean, it's not.
It's not like it was a competition, but it was just like
that, and it's not. I want to further stress the point that it wasn't necessarily what you were saying. You know about skill. You know, some people that we shared the stage with some people that were maybe better singers or more established or whatever. But what set us apart was the excellence.
It was the excellence.
You know what I'm saying? You could count on Divinity to be on time,
early.
prepared.
No, not on time.
Well,
early.
Glory.
We were early.
Prepared. You know, we had our own equipment. We was
sound check. We brought
ready to go.
Full band.
And this is a completely different interview. We might do a part 2.
Yeah, might do a part 2. Yeah.
But Jesus, knowing how to talk to people.
Yeah, man.
The Lord is indeed gracious and merciful, and we love Him.
Yeah.
But just like knowing how to talk to people, you know, we're not even talking about conducting business right now or, you know, compensation or whatever. Just knowing how to talk to people.
Be nice.
Like, just be nice.
Be nice.
Hi, how are you? And actually mean it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sticking out, you know.
When we went to every event, we made ourselves known to the head of the household. And then after that, we said, just good customer service. I think artists should do a good customer service training.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think this is another interview.
It was the interfacing with the public.
Right.
Like, just, yeah.
It's just like, hey, we're here. How you doing? This is what we are. We're about to set up. And then afterwards, hey, how'd you do? Were you satisfied? Were everything okay? How was your service? It was a good service. Like, we were reassuring while we're collecting data to make sure that we did our job, right? And of course, it's to the glory of God, but at the same time, it's to a service to the people.
And improving things like professionally and respectfully. Like, hey, you know, I noticed this is okay if I XYZ. You know, can I tune your kit for you? Or I think it'd be better if we put this way. Or can I,
right.
You know, like.
There's not been one time where I, Divinity, you, or a combination thereof left a place in worse shape than we left. If anything, we added to it before we took away.
Being nice enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, COVID has increased prices of things.
Yeah.
So I can understand if you don't necessarily want to, but like, it was plenty of times where, you know, just being nice enough. I mean, the Bible talks about giving, but I don't want to preach anymore. But just, hey man, y'all can keep this cable, you know. Hey man, just hold on to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all can keep that track. Use it for your team, you know?
Oh man, that thing was killing. Oh, what's your email? I'll shoot it to you.
We'll send it to you.
And do it. You know, like
Or
it's
how
not.
about this? I'm coming back and I'm gonna teach it. Like I've done that.
We did a whole workshop. You know what I'm
We
saying?
did.
And if we want to talk about skill level, knowing your craft. Hey, what was that you did, and be able to teach what you did?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or how did you get them to oh, we did this. Invite them to your rehearsal. Oh,
Right.
Anyway, part 2. Sorry.
Let's talk about evangelism.
Listen, it's not all within the 4 walls of the church. It's not all churchy stuff, but just
Yeah.
that goes a long way. And that's
Big
part.
time.
That's part of artistry.
Yeah.
Is that aspect of it. So,
But like I said, like even when I say like people can out-sing us, there's some people that can out-sing us. But like I said, no one can outwork us. And I think that people acknowledge the work, which allowed more doors and opportunities
Absolutely.
that were so real that we didn't see other artists get at that time. Like we weren't seeing people do live recordings out in other cities in collaborations with other artists. We didn't.
and here's the key. Where you gotta take it all, and rest in and have a piece, because it's not like these were top grossing, events or
These
the
weren't,
biggest
and
national
I want
news.
you to think like you think like we, because people think like because we up there that means like, oh, we raking in the money. No, not at all. But a lot of it was the investment of our
Listen.
time and experience.
These DistroKid screenshots will humble you.
Boy,
Say amen.
Can we?
Glory.
Not, we coming up with interviews out of interviews because we can be all night. But what I will say is just like like some of these events and everything. And as an artist, you have to understand you have to fund your dream until your dream can fund you.
That's the
And
gig.
so that's the lick every time.
That's the
Fund
gig.
your dream until your dream can fund you.
And it's not. I mean, and it's not nothing to be shameful about.
It's
you know what I'm
nothing
saying?
to be
Like,
shameful about. I
many
put out
people-
more money than I take in, and I can say that. I put out. You do that. We put out more resources, more money than we take in, and I think that we do. And I'll include myself in that. We do artists, musicians coming into the industry a disservice by not letting them know the reality of the matter. And
it's a real thing.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And so many people, so many of your heroes was like that. Yolanda Adams was a teacher.
Bro.
Like, and even if you think they live in the limelight now, guess what? It's the people that got to pay once they walk off stage. Blessed be the name of the Lord. But anyway, part 2, maybe part 3 at this point.
Part
2
3.
more things.
Yes.
So you've released some projects.
Yeah.
So talk about, you've done a lot of stuff live. So talk about the studio experience of what that was like for you and what that added to your...
The studio experience added to me a heightened sense of accuracy.
Yeah.
A heightened sense of accuracy.
That red light, don't lie, Doc.
The red light ain't your friend. I'll tell you that red light it is your enemy.
Woo, Jesus.
Facebook Live ain't your friend. Instagram Live ain't your friend. The red dot ain't your friend.
Listen.
The iPhone, nothing that records, anything that records automatically assume that's your enemy.
Woo,
The reason
Doc.
why I say that is because it will tell all the things that's wrong, from what we hear and then what the device picks up. And so I'm thinking I'm killing it live, which I probably did sound good live and in the ambient sound, but mic'd in where it captures every nuance of the voice. Oh God, no. Yeah. So that's what I said. It allowed me to have a heightened sense of accuracy, which was a benefit to me, the group, everybody. It taught me to have patience.
Yeah.
It taught me to have an appreciation for the work that people do in the studio and appreciate the workers of the studio. It taught me to have an appreciation for the process and doing the process right. So a lot of things had to do with a lot of it wasn't a quick fix type of thing. This isn't a quick creation. This isn't a quick thing. This takes time. And if it's valuable, if it's quality, it's going to take time and there's no other way around it.
Period.
That's what I learned in the studio.
Period. And that's important.
Yeah.
And also time management. We see the videos of we finna come in here and vibe. No, we're not.
Because you're wasting my money.
No, we are not.
No, because we're going to have a rehearsal before we go there because studio time ain't a time to rehearse. We rehearse. Then once we in the studio, that's your performance. Really,
Yeah.
studio is your performance time, and people don't think that. Like studio, like once that mic hat, you are on just like you were on Sunday morning or at any other conference or any other event. You are on,
Yes,
and
sir.
and I think that we have to really understand that, and so that's what I'm just like, man.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Okay, last thing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody, that's kind of pursuing this lifestyle, whether it be ministry, artistry, whatever, somebody who's either getting into it or a young person that's kind of, aspiring to kind of take this road? What would you say?
Ministry, understand your call, understand that you are called, and make sure that you are called.
Y'all might have to replay that about 10 times. Just double tap. It'll take you back 10 seconds.
And that's it. That's all. And because I feel like once who he calls, he qualifies, and he justifies. So even in me talking about my life experiences, I've noticed that I've been through some stuff, and I've experienced some things in order for me to be qualified to even speak on certain things.
Yeah.
And so I stand firm even now more than ever on my calling in God. And I stand more confident as ever as an artist because I decided to take the time and learn first and sing later. I'm going to say it again. Learn first, sing later. There will always be a microphone. There will never be another opportunity to learn the way that you should have learned in the first place. Of course, like I said, like there's a concert every Friday night.
Somewhere.
There are more concerts than classes.
Yeah. Part 3.
Coming up with all these good sound bites,
Listen.
right? And that's real. There are more concerts than classes, and there are more people attending concerts than classes.
Ooh, it got dark. You feel like it dark? Glorious.
And so I decided to go to class.
Yeah.
And because I decided to go to class, it's now benefiting me in the long run. And it will benefit me with my new music that's coming out this year as a solo artist. Steward Stiles is coming out with some stuff, and it's going to bless you. If you thought Steward Stiles and Divinity, we're doing some re-recording. We were going to re-record some of the stuff that we had because, if you do your business right, you can re-record your stuff.
Glory.
Okay.
Part 3.
That's part 7 at this point. And then, of course, some new songs, and I'm just excited. I'm really excited to see where God is going to take this based upon my experiences.
Yeah.
So.
It plays a part.
Yeah.
Amen. You ready to sing for the people?
Yeah, man. Like, what you want me to sing, bro? Like,
let's figure it out.
What? All right, so.
Let's figure it out.
So. One, two, one, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. You will only trust me, trust me, trust me. I will be with you. I will be with you. I will be with you if you will only trust me, trust me. I will be with you. I will be with trust me, trust me, trust me. I'll fight your battle. I'll fight your battle. I'll fight your battle if you will only trust me, trust me, trust me. I'll never leave you. I'll never, never, never leave you. I'll never leave you if you will only trust me. Oh, trust me, trust me.